Temukalale nafyalilwe mwembona majeke chokulepa nandibona alikwata kwesu chabanga bana banomba bashayishi boko bafuma betinda byukulumbanya nalikwata nechilumba umambone boye kwesu febabele nokusamba panika mwimbono kufala matai temukalale nafyalilwe mwimbona majeke chokulepa nandibona alikwata kwesu chabanga bana bandumba basyaisi boko bafuma betinda byokulumbanya nalikwata nechilumba umambone boye kwesu febabele nokusamba panika umambone boye kwesu febabele nokusamba panika nefumushisana shakuteka bamwe wayebakalamba kwabashirisha nibamwasa kombe na shitembo shimbishirisha kabamwe ulu nibambuluwe nabambulongwe nefumushisana shakuteka bamwe wayebakalamba kwabashirisha kumulundu nibamwasa kombe na shitembo shimbishirisha kabamwe ulu nibambuluwe nabambulongwe mwana basongola meno bena bakwabonitambi mwana basongola meno bena bakwabonitambi mwana bampoloto kumenso nabo bene kwabonitambi mwana bampoloto kumenso nabo bene kwabonitambi mwana emisisi ya pemu bena bakwabonitambi mwana emisisi ya pemu bena bakwabonitambi nangu batika wile kisungu mukalale mwena temunyabo nangu batika wile kisungu mukalale mwena temunyabo alamumbone boye kwesu sebalele nokusamba panika inombanu mbulene mikoa ekwisi befyo na ikala nombanu mbulene mikoa ekwisi befyo na ikala batatane mubena mumba batani nekisiki ubwali bamayo bena balungu nangunteli abena kasimu nombo kukonka nentambi nemwine ndi mwina kasimu umumba nebo ikwesu febabele nokusamba panika inombanu mbulene mikoa ekwisi befyo na ikala nombanu mbulene mikoa ekwisi befyo na ikala batata nebo bena mumba batani nekisiki ubwali bamayo bena balungu nanguntili abena kasimu nombo kukonka nentambi nemwine ndi mwina kasimu umumba nebo ikwesu febabele nokusamba panika.
Good evening, Zambia. Good afternoon, good morning, depending where you're joining us this evening. Zambia, world all over, wherever we are scattered, as many as we are. Welcome to TV Wakwetu. And it's Thursday. This means Thursday night motivation. I hope you've all had a wonderful, wonderful week in everything that you're doing so far. And can you just put in the comment where you're joining me this evening? Where you are, what part of Zambia you're joining this evening, or where in the world you are joining in this evening. As you know, TV Wakwetu is a collection of voices. The voices that come from all corners of the country and all corners of the globe. So this evening, if you just put in the comment where you're joining me, where you're joining us this evening. And another thing that I would like to do is, this is your station. So this is your channel. So any topic that you want, as in people suggest political topics that they would like to be discussed. Another thing that you could do is suggest what motivational topics you would like me to cover, so that we can cover everything that we can cover everyone. As I said, TV Bakwet is a collection of voices, and that's why we all come in here. So everyone is joining. Jack Siame is joining from Kapata, and we've got Douglas Moape who's joining in our Woodlands. Good evening, good evening, good evening, Jack. Good evening, Douglas. Oh, got I got Nakazi Mangana joining in from Barotseland. Barotseland. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in on TV Wakwete. And for those who would like to, you could also buy some stars so that we can be bringing you all the different programs. And for some of you, if you missed any of this, we're so delighted to be joined by my cousin. Most of you know him now. Mr. Masheke Akashambatwa has also joined the TV Wakwetu crew. So those are all the things that are coming up on TV Wakwetu. So remember in sponsoring us. So let's go back to business. Let's go back to business. For some of you who are joining for the first time, Thursday night is all about motivation with me, Frank Saliki. And it's so important. Most of the time we focus so much on what is going on, but we never focus on the powers that we have to change our lives. You know, in everything that we have in our lives, it's important to know that the destiny of our lives is in our hands. That God has given us talents. God has given us power to transform our lives, to do wonderful things. But so many people never utilize that power. I've got to knock. My son is knocking behind me. My 10-month-old son is knocking on the door. But we never utilize our power. And what is important in all that we do, is that we utilize the God-given ability that has been given to us in doing everything that we want, and taking our lives to the next level by taking action. So this evening, the topic is action is a cure of fear. Action is a cure of fear. So what I mean by that, so many people have got dreams, they've got ambitions or things they want to achieve, what they want to do, but they're so afraid of taking action. Most of the people it's because of what they've been told in the past by others. Most of the people it's because of what they've experienced. So the data that they've collected about themselves is negative. The data that they've been collecting over the years about their lives is negative. So when it comes to taking that action, when it comes to starting that business, the data they've got to operate on says they're not good enough. The data they've got to operate on says they can't change anything in their lives. Hence, they end up not taking any action. People with talents who could be doing wonderful things are not doing those things because they're focusing on the negatives, others on the negative that is going on in their mind. And I hear a lot of people talk about positive thinking. Think positively, think right, and you change anything in your life. But I want you to know that you can never magically change your thought about something that you've never done. You can never magically change your thoughts about something that you've never taken action on. So one thing that I've discovered over the years is most of the time when we talk about confidence, what we're talking about is competent. When we say I'm not confident about something, what we're saying is I'm not competent about doing that particular thing. So when I set a goal to become a motivational speaker, for example, I was not a prolific speaker. I had not had the training that I have now. So I could not say I was competent. I could have said, you know what, I probably would have said, I'm not confident at public speaking, but what I was saying is I'm not competent. But with the right training, I was able to do what was required of me. With the right training, I was able to take those actions and put them to fruition. With the right training, I was able to create my own motivation speaking event. With the right training, I was able to have what I was able to write my book, and my second book comes out at the end of June. And here's the thing: it's all about action. So the more I did, the more confident I became. There's so many people who talk about trying to be confident about something and they never do anything about it. And what they usually say is, I will do it once I'm confident. Well, here's the thing. As long as you do not take any action on that particular thing, you're never going to be confident at doing that particular thing. So the only way that you are ever going to be confident at doing something is by taking action on that thing. So it's vitally important in all that we do that we're focusing on taking action. We're focusing on really doing the things that we want to do. You know, everything that you have achieved thus far is the manifestation of what you think you're capable of. When you take action, you change the way you think about yourself. When you take action, you change everything that you think about yourself. You realize that you're capable of doing a lot more things than you ever think you can imagine. There's so many talented people out there who could be doing wonderful, amazing things, but they're simply not doing those things. Can you just let him in? Right, we got company tonight. So there's so many people who could be doing wonderful things, but they're simply not doing those things. And when it comes to really believing in what we're capable of doing, that only comes about by taking the actions that is necessary. If we do not take the action that we need to take, we're never going to feel confident about ourselves. We're never going to feel that great about our own abilities. Because it's in doing and doing and doing and doing that we perfect the talent. And the more we perfect that talent, the greater we feel about ourselves. And the greater we feel about ourselves, the more actions we're going to take. So my friends, it comes down to you and me taking as much actions as we can when it comes to transforming our lives. Yeah, you agree, do you? When it comes to transforming our lives, what is wonderful about life in everything that you do is waking up every single day and asking yourself, what can I do today to get closer to my dream? You know, when it comes to the things that we want to do, what is important is that every day we're taking action. What is important is that every day we're doing something about our goal. We're working on constantly developing that skill and constantly doing something that will get us close to the things that we want. So my friends, when it comes to really transforming your lives, when building that competence in our own abilities, it comes down to one thing. What can you do about your dream every day? What can you do about your dream? What can you work on today? You know, most of the time when people think about their goals, what they think about is all the things that they need to do. They never focus on the one thing that they need to do today. They focus on the one little thing. They focus on the major thing that they need to do. And because they're focusing on all the 100 things that they need to do, they feel overwhelmed. They feel overwhelmed. Alexander, I feel like you're taking my spotlight tonight. They feel overwhelmed in everything that they do. But when it comes to building confidence, when it comes to destroying fear, on doing the things that we're afraid of, it comes down to taking action on one little thing. If you want to have a major farm in the next 10 years, probably the first thing that you need is just a small garden on a backyard. to start off with. You have to remember that you do not have to be great to get started. You have to get started to become great. So in all that you do, you have to remember that the small actions that you take will transform your life for the better. The small actions. Success is simply doing something small every day. And that's how failure comes about as well. Not doing something small every day. So success is about doing something small every day. You know, for me, I look back at when I began this journey of motivational speaking. It was all about doing one video a week, which turned into doing 2 videos a week, which turned into doing 3 videos a week. And some days I used to do series where I do 30 videos in a 30-day month, because I was confident. That was what was building up my confidence. That was what was building up my ability to be able to speak. So when it comes to transforming our own lives, these are the things that we have to constantly think about. So there are certain things that you battle with. You will battle with what other people have said about you. That is very important. It's so significant. What other people have said about us determines a lot of action that we're going to take. Why? Because that's where most of our belief systems come from. What people have said about us, what parents have said about us, what our family members say about us, what our friends said about us, what our teachers have said about us. That's where the foundation of our belief systems come from. However, sometimes in our lives, we're going to find ourselves with people who probably do not give us the best advice in life. Yeah, we're going to find ourselves with people who do not give us the best advice in life. We're going to find ourselves with the people who do not give us the best advice in life. What is important in life is finding the ability to be able to understand. But if I take action, I'll prove what other people have said is wrong. I'll prove what I believe about myself. Belief systems are so important because they dictate how we're going to feel about certain things. But actions are more powerful. So people have said your beliefs are so important, and what you put in your mind is so important. It detects everything it determines everything that you do. Yes, I agree. What we think determines the next actions. Determines how we feel about ourselves. But you know what's more powerful than what we believe already? The actions that we take. The actions that we take completely change a nervous system, completely change what we believe about ourselves. And so in doing so, my friends, we transform a lot of things in our lives. We transform things that so many people have said in the past we're not good at. By simply taking action, by simply doing something, we transform our lives and we start doing things that we've never done before. You know, so many people talk about wanting to have their own business, never do any research, never get started. You know what they end up doing? They end up talking about it. But if you talk about it without taking action, what's going to happen after a few months? What's going to happen after a few years? You're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, you know what, if I was going to do this, if I was good at this, I could have had a business by now. So in thinking about it for so long and not taking action, you talk yourself out of that dream, out of that business, out of that idea. What is important, my friends, is never leave a place of setting a goal without doing anything that commits you to it. Never leave a place of setting a goal without doing anything that commits you to it. I'll give you an example. I decided I want to be a motivational speaker. I decided I want to speak at this certain organization. Do you know what I did? I sent them an email. I was committed. Then what happened a few hours later? I was like, I really don't want to do that, but the email is gone. So when I get a phone call back the next day, guess what? I had to follow through. I had made a commitment. Because what is important in that, my friends, you have to understand, as human beings, we're going to have those moments where we go, I want to do that. I got to do that. And we're filled with adrenaline, we're filled with this energy. Then after a few hours, that adrenaline, that energy disappears. guess what? We don't want to do that thing anymore, and we end up not doing. So when we're in that moment where we think, that moment where we feel unstoppable, that moment where we feel powerful, that moment, that moment usually happens on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, isn't it? That moment where we feel, I'm going to transform my life now. That is a moment you do something that commits you to it, so that when that moment passes, you've already made a commitment that when you reach to the point where you're now just around, you're swimming in your own doubt and fear, you've got no option but to take action. You got no option but to follow through, because you've made a commitment. Because you've made a commitment, so you follow through. Those are the things that you have to consider every single time you're working on your dream, every single time you're working on the things that you want. It doesn't matter where we come from. I always say this, it doesn't matter where we come from. What matters is where we can go from here. What matters is what can we do with my life? If you like woke up, what you like, it's almost, sometimes I always give this analogy. Sometimes life is like you wake up one day and your house is falling down, but you got bricks, and you got an option to build the sort of life that you want with those bricks. You can say, you know what, I will build the house exactly how it looks like, or this is an opportunity to build a bigger, stronger, and better house with these bricks. And these are the things, my friends, I'm trying to emphasize this evening. The actions that we take determines where we're going to go with our lives. You have to understand action, action, action. Action cures fear. Most of the time, we're afraid of doing something because we've never done it before. But don't let it remain so. Don't let it remain so. Don't let it remain the thing that you've never done. You know, so many people have got lists. It's incredible. You see this. Some people have got lists of things that they have done all their lives. And then some people got lists of things that they wish they could do in their lives, and they never do them. Guess what? They don't experience the greatness of it. If I've got a list of the foods that I want to eat, I can't tell you how it tastes like, because I've only got a list of those things I want to eat. If I got a list, I want to go to Hungry Lion, I want to go to KFC, I want to go there, and I want to go to that restaurant, and I want to go to Round Table, and I want to go there. But then I've never tasted those food. I can't tell you how they taste like. It's just a wish. And I won't have the same experience. I can't share the same experience as somebody who's had experienced those things. And that's how life is. There's so many people who talk about the things that they want to do, but they never get to do them. And simply because they are afraid. I began my life in year one. As a kid, he was not much was expected of him. I started growing up, and not a lot was expected of me. Probably apart from one or two classes. In a lot of classes, nobody really looked at me. You know, it all came down to on the day that I failed my high school exams in 2007, that I said to go to university, and my life completely transformed. And the day I said to go to university, was I very confident myself? No. Did I have, how low was my self-esteem? Very low. But how did that all improve? How did that all change? By taking action. The more action I took, the more confident I became about myself. And there's a moment. The more action I took, the more competent I became. And the more competent I became, the more confident I became about my dream coming to fruition. It's not where we come from, it's where we're going. It's not what has happened, it's the actions that we're going to take from here that will determine our destiny. Have you ever wondered why two people have gone through the same situation end up achieving different things in life? Simple. The action that they took are different, so they get different things. I'm reminded of a story in Tony Robbins' best-selling book, Awakening the Sleeping Giants, and there he gives an example of two brothers. One was in prison, one was successfully and stupidly rich, they were asked the same question. They gave the same answer. One said, the one who was in prison said, well, with an alcoholic father like mine, there was no other option for me but to be in prison like he did. And the other son said, with an alcoholic father like mine, there was no other option but to be successful, so I'm not like him. Almost similar answers. But they had two different reasons, two different ways of looking. They almost have the same reason, but they had two different ways of looking at life. What ended up determining their destinies was not what they'd gone through or what they had experienced. What ended up determining their destiny in the end is the action they took. The actions that we take determine everything. Action is like planting a seed. If I go and plant maize today, or if I go and plant, remember when I was growing up in Luansha, we had a big garden at the back, and my mom will get someone to plant vegetables and tomatoes and onions and all that goes with it, and then she'll get us to water those things that were planted. And that's the only way they could grow. Because if they were planted and nothing was done, no action was taken, those things could have died in the ground. Those things could have died in the ground. So it's all about taking action. So in the Far East, in America, they got there's a tree called the Chinese bamboo tree. Now, the Chinese bamboo tree is a really hard-nosed tree. It's a really hard-nosed tree. Now, when you plant the Chinese bamboo tree, it does not come out of the ground until 5 years. However, after that 5 years, within 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. And the question the great Les Brown asks is, does a Chinese bamboo tree grow in 5 years or in 6 weeks? And the answer is in 5 years, because if at any time in the process, if at any time in those 5 years, the watering and fertilizing process was stopped, the Chinese bamboo tree would die in the ground. It's all about constantly action, constantly watering it each and every day so that it can grow. So that it can grow. And when it comes to our dreams, it's all about taking action each and every day so that our dreams will be able to grow, so that we can see the results that we want in our lives. So many people could be doing wonderful things, but the lack of action is stopping them. And the lack of action is increasing their fears, is increasing their anxiety. The more they wait, the more they sit on that dream, the more they feel they're not capable of achieving that dream. The more you sit on that dream, the more you feel you're incapable of bringing that dream to fruition. If you want to write the book, just write. Just write. If you want to do something, just go out there, do something. You know, when I was writing my first book, Arise and Shine, I wrote the book. I finished the book. Guess what? I still didn't have. I did not even have money to publish the book. But you know, if I sat there and say, "Oh, I will take action once I have the money." If there was no book to be published, guess what? When I have the money, what could have happened? I could have spent it somewhere else. Doing anything that we want in our lives requires us to take action. The more action we take, the more competent we become. The more competent we become, the greater the confidence in our abilities will. Do you know? Do you think if you've got a friend who says to you, we'll meet up on Tuesday, we'll meet up at Kamwala on Tuesday, we'll meet up in Patamato on Wednesday, okay? Meet me up, parek Launcher. You turn up at 3 o'clock, they're not there. Then you turn up again and say, oh, next week. Next week na pena tavaripo. You come the next day and they're still not there. Are you going to have confidence in that person? When that person comes to you and says, oh, let's meet up again, are you really going to have confidence in them? No. Your mind will tell you that person is not trustworthy. They never come through with anything. But here's where our brains are fickle. When somebody tells you something and they don't go through, it registers exactly the same way. If you tell yourself that you'll do something and you don't do it, your brain registers it exactly the same way as a friend of yours promising you something and never taking action. So the next time that you say, I've got a plan, I'm going to do this, your brain says, yeah, right, we never do it anyway. So what you lose in not taking action is you lose credibility in yourself. Your mind literally loses credibility in your own, on your ability to take action. How crazy is that? Your own mind loses. You lose credibility with your own mind to take action, and that's not what you want. That's not what you want. You want your mind to work for you. You want your mind to see things and produce answers. The more actions you take, the better it is for you. The more actions you take, the closer you're going to get to the things that you want. The more actions you take, the wonderful your life is going to be. And those are the things that we really have to focus on a consistent basis. Take actions every day. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and also in your own abilities. Take actions today. In everything that you want to do, you don't have to get started because you know something. If we all have to know something to get started, we simply are never going to do it. I think of the time I got into the publishing world, I knew nothing about that world. I knew nothing about that world. But it all comes down to taking action. Taking action is the most wonderful thing that can happen in our lives. In conclusion, so many people have got gifts and talents that could take out their lives to the next level, but they never really see the fruits that those talents can bear in their lives. They go through the entirety of their lives without living up to their true potential, without enjoying the things that their talents can bring, because they were afraid. Fear kills dreams. Fear renders talented people to live mediocre life. We are all given a talent. Our Heavenly Father, when He sent us in this world, He said, here's a talent for you to go and do with it whatever you want to do. When we were young, we had dreams to do wonderful things. We spoke about all these wonderful things, what we wanted to do, what we wanted to be. But the harsh realities of life have bitten those dreams out of so many. And so many people are swimming in mediocrity whilst carrying a bag of greatness. So many people walk around and look at what the world wants out of them. We live in the world of social media where everybody is trying to keep up with the Joneses. We went from trying to create something wonderful for ourselves, we've gone to show people how wonderful our lives is. Our talents is not for show. Our talent is not to prove others wrong. Our talent was not given to us so that we can walk around and say and show people what we can do. Our talent was given for us so that we can live a wonderful and prosperous life. You can't go through life just being a wandering generality when you are created to be a meaningful specific. Wake up every single day, create something wonderful, create the life that you want. Go out there and create all the things that you need to do that are wonderful for you. Remember each and every day, you are designed for accomplishment, you are engineered for success, and you're endowed with the seed of greatness. And how wonderful it is that our God loves us so much that He gave us His talent. And it's all that we can do. Go and utilize the talent you are born with, because you are born to win. Thank you very much, my dear friends, for joining me on TV Bakwetu this evening. This was Thursday Night Motivation. It is live every Thursday at 2100 hours Zambian time, unless there's some change. Like today, I've got a prior commitment, so I came in a bit earlier to you this evening. And I hope you've got something that will inspire you, that will transform your life. Remember, action is a cure of fear. Go out there, do something wonderful, do something meaningful in your life. You've got a wonderful talent, and you will be a blessing, and you will see so many blessings by simply taking action. Remember each and every day, you are really born to win. I really believe this, and I want so many people to understand they've got a talent, they've got something special in them. Our Heavenly Father gave us something special. Let us go out there, let us use it. God bless you, God bless our country, and it's good night from me.